So, what to do if you have decided that you want to move inwards in your spiritual journey? You have come to terms with it and you want to do it now. So, there are some points that I can share with you that were really helpful and that I have learned on my spiritual journey. It took me like sometimes years to understand certain facts, but I think if I'll tell somebody, then they could really accelerate in their spiritual journey. So, and that is the whole point of spirituality, or forming the chain of positivity, or the forming the chain of spirituality. That I do it and I make it easier for next person, and that person does it and makes it easier for the other person, because it's time. The world needs more and more people who are trying to look inwards. So yeah. So one thing is that my way of doing spirituality could be different than yours could be different than somebody else, and everyone has a unique way of doing things. Mine was always to gain spiritual wisdom. I always felt a need, to be you know to be in my spiritual wisdom, okay, to know things. So yeah. And one thing that we have to realize about learning spiritual wisdom is that, how in school we are just programmed a little a certain way, memorization पे फोकस किया जाता है स्कूल में, है ना. It is memory is focused more in school. I think I want to keep it in English so that I can reach more and more people. So memorization is very a surface level thing. Okay, when you try to memorize things, that is a very surface level thing. Okay, but when you really, for example, we used to do derivations in maths, right? I was just so bad at remembering things, and I hated remembering things because I think it took a lot of my energy. Okay, now when things are on the surface level, when you're doing something which is not very deep, okay, when you're doing things which are not very deep, which are more at the surface level, you're doing it for somebody, you're doing it because it is a trend, you're doing it for society, you're doing it for this that person, you're not doing it for yourself. Okay, you're doing it to pass the exam or something like that. So anything which is at the surface takes a lot of energy, and your system doesn't like to, give an energy to something that is very surface level. But since you are sleeping, since we are sleepwalking, we don't realize that often. But this is what, during my spiritual journey I realized, okay, I don't like this because it just takes too much of my energy and focus, and I don't like to focus on surface level things. So I just hated memorizing in school. I just hated school. I almost hated school. I can't tell you how much I hated school. I hated school because I don't know, I just felt that I am such a creative feminine personality. I mean, feminine is not a personality, but I am so in my feminine. They took away my femininity, is what I feel on a serious note. And it's not like my school or something like that, but humans have become very surface level. Why are these schools working like that? Because it has come from the government. Why is government working like that? Because of course it has come from the citizens of the country, right? So we have become, since very surface level, our education has also become very surface level. Our, um, other things have also become very surface level. So I don't know, it's just you know yeah. So I was just very bad at memorizing things. So what I used to do, especially in maths, okay, there were a lot of formula. So what I used to do, I really used, I know that's why I think that was the reason I was not getting marks in maths. Because what I used to do is I used to practice क्या derivations. I used to see derivations. Okay, that's how they happen. That's how they happen. I used to understand. Okay, and I literally then come down to the formula. Okay, and so in exams also used to do like that. I will take a rough sheet or something and I'll just try to derivate the formula there and then, because I cannot remember or memorize formulas. Okay, so what I used to do is I used to really do the derivations, take out the formula, and then apply. and of course it was a waste of time, but at least it was not a waste of my energy. So yeah, so since schools and everything is very 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 surface level, okay, like they won't tell you, you know the charm of the things increase when you really apply them to your real life and able to apply it to your uh, when you find that there is some application of it, the charm of the things increases, right? You really want to learn it, okay, your learning capacity increases like threefold. That happens. Schools are very surface level because humans have become very surface level. It's not just my school, the school system is like that. They are very surface levels, yeah, because that's how things have become, okay, for everyone. Well, so yeah, um you now you tend to understand that memory, surface level things requires a lot of your energy and focus, and it just burns, it goes to waste, okay. And then there is a second, kind of, you can say, a working memory, where you understand things, and when you understand things you don't have to remember them, okay. Like there is a difference between derivations, and there's a difference between, you know some people used to even memorize derivations. I've seen those kind of people, but I never used to. I was like more of in my understanding, because that is easy and that requires less energy, okay. So maybe I was already, I always said that I was always a little spiritually inclined person. So maybe because of that, I understood my mechanics, okay. That yeah, these things are requiring a lot of, and now always a feminine personality, I felt more called to be in my femininity, though I was yeah, it took me time, of course. I've healed a lot, but yeah, I mean, it just meant to say that surface level things require a lot of energy, okay. When you do things for people, when you do things for others, it requires a lot of energy, but when you do things for yourself, you know and it requires less energy, and you stay more calm, and your body, your mind is more peaceful. So what I'm trying to say here is that try and stay in more of, you know um, working memory, okay. You CPU kb, there was the two kinds of memories also in CPU, you used to learn that one used to store the data, and the other one is the working memory, okay. That is why we say stay in the present moment. So whenever you go to a guru, or whenever you're learning any spiritual fact, don't sit with pen and paper trying to memorize it. Don't do that. I was always, and you know what, my intuition has been much good enough, and whenever I used to go to any guru, I have seen them. They were never just, I mean, the real spiritual gurus, okay. There were people who were reading from books and they were trying to teach you morality. People who read from books and they try to tell you that is just morality, but spirituality is different than morality. Spirituality is not morality, spirituality is not religion, okay. So yeah, the real spiritual gurus that I went to, I mean, of course I didn't meet them in person, but online. So my phone was my school, my real school. So yeah, I mean, so when I used to say something, and I've noticed that they have not memorized. They're speaking from a kind of a very deep understanding of life. They have a deep understanding. It's not a memorization. And I don't think so they come prepared or something. They just sat there. Whoever somebody asked something, they replied according to their own experience. It was just so, and I just noticed them, okay, and I found ki yes, and that's how even what I'm doing right now. You know, I am working in a kitchen or something, or I am just doing my something or the other, and it just some point comes to me, and I thought, okay, I can share it with people around me, on my platform or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's just I am not doing reading it from book and telling you like that. Yes, of course, sometimes I can always connect it in my brain. There is this one topic that has come into my brain, and then then my brain remembers, okay, this is what I've read somewhere, and I could just pick up this point, that point, and then I can tell people. So it's just it's like thousand electromagnet cells are like getting activated in my brain, something. It's sometimes like that, okay. Whenever you learn something very deep enough, literally there's such a joy, in learning about life. That is a real joy. But alas, nobody teaches us that, even in school. you know I hated even memorizing poems. The more smaller you are, the more memorization, you're being asked, you're pushed into. And that is so silly. So silly. The more younger the child is, we should be, putting them into activities, into, being in nature. That is how it is. Chalo, whatever. But yeah, stay, that is why they say stay in the present moment. So present moment, just listen very carefully. When you feel that somebody is trying to say something, just listen very carefully. Very carefully. That's it. Don't try to sit with pen and paper, because then you are working from a surface level memory. Okay. But when you just sit and listen and being present with that person, you even exchange more energy, more energy. We exchange energies too when we speak, when we interact. Okay, that is also a thing. We are not, something which we cannot see with our eyes doesn't mean that they don't exist. Okay, okay, I read it in a book. I can show you the book also. This is the book that I read, Turning Confusion into Clarity. Though after reading half the book, I was more in confusion than in clarity. But this book said that this book has a very beautiful point to explain things. For example, you see this phone right now, okay? Now, this phone is like, you see this phone device, right? But what is the reality of this phone? This is actually 99% space and 1% material. Okay, this is 1% material and 99% space. So what we see with our eyes is not always the truth. Second important point to remember when you are moving on your spiritual journey. So first point is be in the present moment. Don't try to understand things from the memory level. Try to go deeper. And yeah, and there are some people who don't like the fact that you're not reading from a book. You're not reading from a book, and just why are you saying your own thing? Who are you? Who the hell are you? Or something like that. But if somebody has a real spiritual experience, they had spiritual experiences, they know something beyond, then why do they need books? They are beyond books now. So yeah. So I think these are the very important points that we can remember, while walking our spiritual path.